Prynhawn da pawb, croeso, welcome to our Year 6 question and answer session specifically for Pembroke. I am absolutely thrilled. I'm joined today by two of our Year 7 pupils who have not even a year ago moved up from Pembroke, so they are the best people to ask all of your questions to. Mrs. Mellon, our assistant head, is going to be like leading our discussion and presenting the whole thing. And just please remember that any question that you have, A, is definitely not silly, and B, it might be something that someone else really wants to know the answer to as well. So if you want to type away any questions that you have as they come to mind, we will answer them as we go along. But super thrilled that we've got Oshin and Amy with us. And they're going to talk a bit about how they found their first year, and then they'll be ready to answer any questions. I'm sure you'll recognise them because they were with you not that long ago. Mrs. Mellon, over to you.
Prynhawn da, Pembroke School. How lovely to see so many of you joining us for our live Q&A sessions. We put these sessions on because we feel it's really important that you get an opportunity to ask things ahead of what would be our normal transition, if you like. So I'm sure lots of you are starting to think now about what life is going to be like for you in Chepstow School, and quite rightly, as Miss Miller has just explained, who better than to answer those sorts of questions. So Amy and Oshin have very kindly agreed to discuss and talk about some of their experiences, and I'm just going to start off by asking them a couple of things, because there's some feedback that we've had from Year 6 students from other schools as well, and these are the sorts of things that they want to know. But if you've got anything specific that you want to know about or find out about, because it's been very strange this last 12 months, I'm sure there are lots of questions that you're dying to ask, then as Miss said, please just type them in the chat and I can direct your questions then to both Amy and Oshin or Miss Miller, as the case might be. Okay, so one of the things that we thought was important to explain to you was basically what your first year is like, and this year has been a really different year. So I'm going to ask Amy to start. So Amy, could you just sort of explain a little bit about what your first year has been like?
Well, Year 7 was really good. It was really good this year. It was a bit different because of online learning, but the teachers still made it really fun. When we were online.
Brilliant. And what is it when you say sort of fun, when you say your teachers have made things fun, what sort of things have they done to keep you engaged in your learning?
Well, so at the start of some lessons we would like play Kahoot, or they'll make it fun in a lesson, not just we'll work at the same time, but they still make it fun. Okay,
and Oshin, what about you? What about your first year at Chepstow School?
It was a lot different than I thought it would be, but it went quite well and smoothly, even though it was a bit different than usual.
Yeah, it has been a strange old year, isn't it? It has been very odd, but do you think you've learned a lot in this current climate? Something perhaps that's a bit different from before?
Yeah.
What sort of things do you think you've learned via our online learning?
Well, we've learned how to actually do online schooling, and it's also been good to actually learn from your own comfort.
That's true. We can have our slippers on, can't we, sometimes when we're in the middle of lessons, which we wouldn't be allowed to do normally if we were in school, definitely. Okay, so another question that's popped up is about finding your way around, and this is everybody's sort of fear. Even though some of your primary schools physically, geographically, they're quite big, some students get really anxious about finding their way around. So how did teachers and other students help you find your way around at the start when you were physically able to be in school? What about you, Oshin?
Well, I already knew a bit around the school from my sister, and if I ever got lost, I would always ask a teacher or another student.
Okay, and they'd point you in the right direction. And were there any sort of introductory activities, perhaps, that you were able to take part in to help you? What about you, Amy?
At the start, I think we did like, it was like a treasure hunt. So we had to go around the school, and then we had a little map or something, and we had to find stuff on the map, and then like whoever won.
Prizes, always good. And did you find that was a really good way, not just of finding your way around the school, but a way of meeting new teachers?
Yeah, it was really good because we could ask teachers where they were, and they would show us, or well, give us a clue of where it was, and we would go and find it.
Brilliant, that's fantastic. So what about making friends then? One of the best things I think about moving up to Chepstow is you now have an opportunity to really broaden your friendship groups, to meet new people, to meet people from different schools. So have you made a lot of friends, Amy, since you've been in Chepstow?
Yeah, I made loads more friends, especially when teachers put you by someone. You kind of make friends with them.
And that's quite a nice, that sort of breaks the ice a little bit, because all our teachers in school put us in seating plans. So that's always really important for us to be able to get to know you, but also to think about your well-being, to think about those sort of communications really, and that socialisation, because that's really, really important. What about you, Ocean, making friends? Have you made lots of friends?
Yeah, it was easier than I thought, because you'd always like see people on the playground, and then you'd always be working with people.
That's always nice, isn't it? And it's nice just to have those different connections, because you get very used to your year 6 classes. And I'm guessing that, did you just have one year 6 class both in Pembroke?
Yeah.
Yeah, was that Mrs. Wilson? Yeah, I know Mrs. Wilson. Me and Mrs. Wilson, or Mrs. Wilson and I should say. Gosh, look at me, go back a long way. So that's lovely. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about teachers, and you said about online learning and what makes lessons fun. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit now. So one of the big changes is that you've had lots of teachers opposed to your one Mrs. Wilson, if you like. You've had lots of teachers for all of your different subjects. How have you coped with that? Ocean?
Well, you get to know lots of new teachers, whereas in primary you'd be stuck with the same one. Not stuck. But in secondary, you kind of, in some classes you have different people, so you can also make new friends, and then you can also like get to know the teacher and have lots of different areas.
What about you, Amy? Have you found that difficult, or have you enjoyed having a bigger range of teachers?
I've enjoyed having loads of different teachers, because you get to talk to different people at different times every day.
Okay, brilliant. And it's just that variety, I suppose. And do you think that set you up quite well for the remote learning as well, because you were able to meet your teachers in the flesh, if you like, face to face? Do you think that helped you with your remote learning then moving forward, Amy?
Yeah, because I kind of knew all the teachers after when we went on to online learning, so I knew all their names after a while, and then it was all good.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, so the big question then, so our year 6 pupils will be sat there listening now and probably feeling a little bit anxious, I'm sure. Change always makes us a little bit nervous. What were you most nervous about before coming up to Chepstow, Amy?
I was most nervous about getting lost, like I lost around the school, because I didn't want to be late for class, and if I was late for class, they understood, because we were new to the school and everyone gets lost sometimes. You just have to ask a teacher and they'll help you out.
Brilliant. What about you, Ocean? What made you nervous before you came up?
I would probably say getting lost as well, because like you can be lost, but then what if there was like no one there and you just be lost?
Some students talk about they get a little bit frightened because there are much older students in the school, and they're worried about being bullied, or they're worried about having a hard time. How could you reassure our Year 6 pupils that that's not going to happen? Amy?
Well, when we were in like school, they were all separate areas. So when you were in the hallways, you would mostly only see a couple of them then. So you don't really see the older ones a lot. You just see like a couple of the same age group as you.
Okay, Oshin, what do you think?
Well, when you're in the hallways, you tend to see your year as you're all going to kind of the same lessons. So you're kind of always in that bubble.
And with older years, you know, have you found some of the older students actually supportive rather than the opposite? Oshin?
Well, they help you if you're lost in the corridors. Yeah.
Brilliant. What about you, Amy?
Yeah, but I don't see them a lot, but they do help you if you do get lost.
That's brilliant. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions coming in now. Okay, and this one is from Jamie. Okay, and the question here is, what PE facilities do you have? So I'm guessing Jamie's quite a physical sort of person. So could one of you, I don't mind which one, okay, could one of you talk about the PE facilities at Chepstow? Who's the most PE active? Which one?
We have, well, in PE we do netball, and we have a big Astro, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah. And
we have a basketball court. We have like hockey, I'm not sure what they're called, like hockey goal things. And I think that's it. We haven't learned loads of the PE things. We haven't been to every single place.
And it's been a bit tricky, particularly for you, because you haven't physically been in the school. So I can probably help out Jamie with that question as well. Obviously, we've got fantastic PE facilities here because we've got the space and the resources to be able to do all sorts of activities, whether it's your more traditional ones like netball or football or rugby. We also are able to use our sports halls. So dodgeball is always a firm favourite with lots. We've had frisbee throwing, we've had all sorts. And what I really like about PE at Chepstow is there's something for everybody. Whether or not you feel that you love PE or you don't like PE, there's always some kind of physical activity that we do that's gonna make you excited. And even if you don't feel that you're super into PE, we do make sure that you keep yourselves healthy and well. And we do things like we do charity walks around, and we do sort of charity miles. We've done the Santa Dash to raise some money where everybody takes part. So PE is actually a little bit more than it was a few years ago. I think that kind of definition has widened out a little bit. Okay, we've got another question come in now. This is about IT facilities, and this is a really good question actually, because we've had to really refine our IT facilities. So let's talk, Oshin, why don't you explain what IT is like at Chepstow School?
Well, right now we're doing Minecraft, and we were building a Minecraft stadium on Minecraft Education Edition. And right now I'm in a computer room, and you get to do loads of stuff in here. So at home we made like online postcards and that.
Okay, so would you describe the IT facilities as good?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Amy?
Well, we've been on IT a lot because we've been doing online learning on there, but at home we've been doing the stadium as well, and that was really, really fun.
Yeah, and I think in terms of our facilities in school, we've got several IT suites that obviously are all fully equipped. We do a lot of work with IT, and I think particularly moving forward after we've had this spell of remote learning, I think that's something that's a positive. I think that's something we're probably going to build on even more. And the project that Ocean is talking about at the moment is a fantastic project. It sounds like we've just got a load of Year 7s playing Minecraft, but actually there's so much more to it than that. They've been tasked to build a stadium. Is a WRU sort of concept, really. So they've been asked to design sports centres. They've got to use their numeracy skills. They've got to advertise them using their literacy skills and so on and so forth. Molly has asked a question here about dance. Absolutely. So you've said, have you got dance activities? And again, it's quite difficult for Amy or Ocean to be able to answer this because they haven't physically been in school for such a long time. But yes, we do have dance. That forms part of the PE curriculum for both obviously boys and girls. And it's really lovely actually when we do get back to normal. We're going to be, we absolutely love in Chepstow putting on our performances and our shows and our musicals, and dance always makes quite a big feature in those as well. So the answer, Molly, to your question there is yes. Okay, so looking down now, our questions are coming in thick and fast, which is fantastic. Okay, this is going back to the teachers again, and this is about, do you have the same teacher all the time? And I think obviously Ocean and Amy have described that, but Miss Miller, would you talk about the role of the tutor and how important the tutor is to us at Chepstow?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Miss. So we're really lucky. We've got, I mean, all of our teachers, I think on the whole, are tutor groups for different years, but I can firmly say in Year 7 we have the best tutors. So we have, it's really important that your tutor becomes your equivalent of your Miss Wilson from Pembroke. So that will be the person that you start the day with. You spend 20 minutes of the day with them every weekday that you come in. And they're just, you're going to be your first port of call. So any issues at all, you forgot your pencil case, or you forgot your tie, or you haven't got any lunch money, or you forgot your whatever it is, anything at all, that's the person to talk to, and they'll be able to sort it out for you. Either they'll be able to sort it out themselves, or they'll be able to talk to the teacher that they need to talk to, or they'll talk to myself, they'll talk to Mrs. Mellon, and they will be your main go-to person when you come up to school. And the same for parents and carers, any issues whatsoever, tutor is the first port of call, and then they'll be able to direct you as necessary, or they'll be able to sort it out for you. So that's really important as a pastoral thing, that we have this wonderful strong tutor core in our year. And then within our tutor sessions in the morning, and Ocean and Amy, maybe you can talk about this in a minute, we do have a really strong PSHE program. So it's your pastoral, it's your social, it's your health, all of that education. We talk about that in form time. So we have started, we've been doing that during this time that we've been doing our blended learning as well, just so it gives, you know, people like Ocean and Amy a chance to have a chat with the other people in their forms, because that's probably who they're going to be most friendly with, because they see them all the time, they see them every morning. You know, it's just a really lovely to have that group of people that is your form, so 7C, 7H, whoever it is, so that tutor is your port of call. So Ocean, how have you found the tutor times now since we've been off this blended learning?
Well, usually when we were in class, we learned lots about things.
What kind of things?
Well, we kind of like have slideshows and maybe like assemblies at that time as well. And then at home online schooling, you'd kind of like, you'd get to see people, because like you'd be able to put your cameras on and talk, and you'll just get information that you need, and you'll get to see everyone at the same time.
That's lovely, thank you, Ocean. And Amy, how have you found, cast your mind back now to when we were in school. Do you feel like you're able to go to your tutor for issues and chat to them and get to know them really well?
Yeah, my tutor is really nice. We just came in and she told us her name. I think it was her first year as well. So we kind of it was our first year together, really.
That's lovely. Yeah, and is she someone that you and mum and dad or carers from home, they know that that's the person to go to?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Back to you, Mrs. Mellon.
Okay, brilliant. Right, your questions are coming in thick and fast, and this is going to be such a truthful answer now. So this is about our head teacher, Mr. Sims, and one of the questions is he out and about quite a lot in the school? So, Amy, when you were in school, did you think that Mr. Sims was quite visible around the place?
Yeah, I saw him a couple of times when we were walking around, and he was making sure everyone was going to class in the right way. And he came into our classes a couple of times to check if we were all okay.
Oh.
That's good. What about you, Oshin?
I've seen him quite a bit, and I've also had him teach me. But yeah, you see him quite a lot in the corridor.
Yeah. He is quite a nosy head teacher. He likes to know what's going on, doesn't he? Not much gets past him, to be fair. That's very, very true. We've also had a question about art and what sort of things we get up to in art. Our art department, I think, is brilliant, but then I think all our departments are brilliant. But Oshin, what sort of things are you doing in art at the moment?
We do a lot of drawing and sketching and all that, paper. And then we also do some research lessons on famous artists, in history.
Okay, and do you sort of follow that theme through in art, so that you learn about the artist, then you learn about their techniques, and then you have a go at those techniques? Is that how the learning is built up in art?
Sometimes.
Okay. And what about science, Amy? Can you talk to us? We've had a question about science. Everyone gets very excited about science lessons. Do you find science lessons exciting? Be careful now when you're answering.
Yeah, science is fun. We do some experiments, our teacher put bubbles on fire, and that was really cool. That was my favourite experiment she did. But science can be really fun, and it's a lot different from primary school because you didn't really do a lot of science.
Yeah, I think, and that's a lovely thing about coming to a secondary school, that we're really lucky that we've got those resources, that we're able to do that. So, Miss Miller, we've had a question about when they're going to know sort of forms and not necessarily form groups, because we wouldn't share names, but when they know who their form tutor will be.
Yeah, of course. So after Easter, we will be talking to all of your Year 6 teachers, your ALNCOs at Pembroke, and we'll find out everything they can possibly tell us about you. That's what we would like to know. We'd like to know what are your strengths, what you need more support with, what is your favourite subjects, what kind of subjects have you never done before. We want to know all about you, because we can't make any kind of decisions until we know you as well as we can do. And obviously virtually it's a bit difficult, but we did the same for Amy and Oshin's year, because obviously they had a long period of lockdown as well in Year 6. So it's all online. So we'll send out all our forms after Easter, and we'll get all the information in from Pembroke and all the other primary schools, and then myself and Mrs. Mellon will have a really fun, it is a great job, and it's a very long job of putting together all the different forms. We want to make sure that you've got a nice mixture, so you've got some people from Pembroke in your forms, some people from the Dell, some people from Thornwell, etc. So you've got a nice mixture of forms. Of course, if you are super worried, and that's fine if you are, if there is a particular friend that you would like to be put within a form, then please ask whoever your adult is at home to get in touch and let us know. That's no problem. I will do everything I possibly can to facilitate that. Okay, I can't make any promises, but I will do everything I can. If there's someone that you think, actually, I'd just really like to be with them. And what we will always try and do, and Amy and Oshin have spoken about this as well, is just really make sure that that form group, when you first meet as a form, that you do make some really lovely friends in that form group. So we'll do all of that after Easter. We'll ask for all the information. And obviously we've got a calendared transition week at the moment, the beginning of July. Fingers crossed we will be able to welcome you up and we will be able to get to know you in real life, not just virtually. So before that transition week, you will know who your form tutor is going to be. Obviously, like Mrs. Mellon said, we can't tell you other people's names, but once you know who your form tutor is, then you might be able to do a bit of detective work and kind of figure out amongst yourselves who's with who. So before we have our transition, if we can't do that transition week, like with Amy and Oshin's year, obviously we had to do something slightly different. So we didn't actually physically meet them until September. They had 2 special days just for them, so it was just year 7 in the school, so we had a whole 2 days, we had the place to ourselves. It was brilliant and we just went away everywhere. So hopefully we will be able to meet you in the summer, but if not, it'll be September. And yeah, you will know before you come up who your tutor is, and you can start getting things straight in your heads. Okay.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Miss Miller. Fantastic. Well, there aren't any new questions there, so I'm going to ask you just to finish up, Amy and Oshin. I'm going to be really mean and I'm going to ask you to say something that you probably haven't prepared, but I trust you implicitly, she says with her fingers crossed. So if you had one piece of advice now for our year 6s about something they could do to help them prepare themselves for coming up to secondary school, what would it be? So Amy, I'm going to go to you first.
Well, you don't want to overthink it because it might make you just more scared. You don't want to overthink it. You just want to be ready and just don't worry.
That's fantastic. That's brilliant advice. What about you, Osh?
Yeah, and carrying on from Amy, like try not to worry, because if you're always worrying, you're probably just going to spend most of your time worrying, not really doing anything else but worry.
And it's a chance for a new beginning, isn't it? It's rather than the worry, we're going to replace the worry with I'm so excited. I think that's kind of where we're coming from. Right, well, you've probably seen enough of my lovely Minecraft background. I promised I'd leave this on because my year 7s love, well, Oshin, you can speak for that. You like my different backgrounds, don't you, on our lessons? But I'm going to hand back over just to close now to Miss Miller. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for your superb questions. And you can get in touch with me anytime you like via our school website where all the email information is available. Thank you, and say hello to Mrs. Wilson for me. Thank you, Miss.
Diolch yn fawr, Miss. Thanks ever so much. So just to echo what Miss Mellon has said, if you have any questions, if you have any queries, if you're not sure, and equally if you want to share with us, you know, what kind of person you are and what kind of activities you like to do and what are your interests, I would love to know, because all of that would be, it's just lovely to get to know the people who are going to make up our school for, you know, for the next potentially 7 years. So please let us know. We have got our own transition email account, which is transition@chepstowschool.net. So please send emails that way. And we've also got our own Twitter, and I just have to check what it is because I set it up the other day and I can't remember. It's @Primary Transit 1. If you go to Chepstow School Twitter, you'll be able to find us linked in from there. And I just want to say a massive thank you to Oshin and to Amy. I think they've spoken brilliantly, and I hope that you can take on board their advice and the answers to their questions, and to think this is a time to be excited. And all sorts of craziness has been going on, and you are going to cope admirably well, I am sure. And I'm thrilled to get to know you and to welcome you all up when you come up to us, hopefully in July, possibly in September. So thanks ever so much for joining in. Thanks ever so much for all your questions, and anything else, don't hesitate to get in touch.